Captain stared at the red warning lights that covered every screen on the bridge. The colony ship New Dawn was dying, and he knew it. Around him, his crew worked frantically at their stations, trying to find a solution that did not exist. "How long do we have?" asked quietly. Looked up from the navigation console, his face pale. "Life support will fail in 6 days, maybe 7 if we shut down non-essential systems." 6 days. 12,000 colonists were asleep in pods below, dreaming of their new home. They would never wake up. The engine failure had left them stranded in empty space, too far from any habitable world, too far from Earth. No human ship could reach them in time. The medical officer touched his shoulder gently. "Should we wake them? Give them a chance to say goodbye to their families?" Shook his head. "Let them sleep, it will be painless that way." He had sent out distress signals for 3 days. Nothing had answered. They were alone in the vast darkness between stars, and soon they would join that darkness forever. On the 4th day, something changed. "Captain," shouted, his voice cracking with sudden hope, "I'm detecting ships, multiple ships there. They're coming toward us." Felt his heart race. "Human ships?" "No, sir, the signatures are unknown, alien vessels." The bridge fell silent. Humanity had only made contact with alien life 2 years ago. The meetings had been brief and cold. The galactic community saw humans as primitives, barely worthy of notice. Most species ignored Earth's ambassadors completely. "Are they hostile?" asked. Studied his readings carefully. "I don't think so. They're sending a signal, audio only. Should I put it through?" "Do it." A soft, clicking voice filled the bridge. The translator struggled for a moment, then produced words. "Human vessel. This is Ambassador Al of the people. We received your distress call. We are coming to help." Grabbed the communications microphone. "Ambassador Al, we have 12,000 people on board. Our life support is failing. We don't have much time." "We know," Al replied. "We are bringing everything we have. Hold on a little longer." Over the next 2 days, watched in amazement as ships surrounded the New Dawn. They were not warships or science vessels. They were simple merchant ships, cargo haulers, family transports, that had sent their entire fleet. They themselves looked like giant insects, with multiple arms and shimmering wings. But they worked with incredible efficiency. They attached cables to the New Dawn and began towing it. They brought over supplies, food, medicine, and power cells. They shared everything they had. Ambassador Al came aboard personally. His tall frame moved carefully through the human corridors. When he met in the cargo bay, he bowed low. "We are sorry we could not arrive sooner," Al said. Felt tears in his eyes. "You came at all, that's more than we could have hoped for. Why did you help us?" Al's large compound eyes seemed to shine with kindness. "Because you needed help is another reason necessary. But we have nothing to give you in return. Humans are new to the galaxy. We're poor, weak. We can't repay you." "We do not ask for repayment," Al said simply. "Helping others is what good people do. We hope to be good people." Over the next week, the fleet towed the New Dawn to a safe harbor station. They made sure every human was healthy and fed. They even helped repair the engines, though it cost them valuable resources. Other alien species at the station watched with confusion. Some called the foolish for wasting time on humans. On the final day, as the New Dawn prepared to continue its journey to the colony world, met with Al one last time. "I need you to understand something," said, his voice firm and serious. "Humanity does not forget. We will remember what you did for us. Someday, somehow, we will repay this debt." Al made a sound that the translator interpreted as gentle laughter. "You are kind to say so, Captain, but there is no debt. We did what any decent being should do. Go now, build your colony, live good lives. That is enough for us." But gripped the ambassador's forearm tightly. "No, you don't understand human culture yet. We remember our debts, all of them. and we always repay them no matter how long it takes. The saved 12,000 human lives today, humanity will never forget." Al seemed touched by the words, but could tell the ambassador did not truly believe them. How could he? Humans were insignificant in the grand scheme of galactic civilization. What could they possibly do to repay such a debt? As the new dawn pulled away from the station, stood on the bridge and watched the ships grow smaller in the distance. Around him, his crew stood at attention. "Record this moment in the ship's permanent log," ordered. "Every human on this ship owes their life to the... Our children will know this story. Their children will know it. Humanity will carry this debt until it is repaid in full." Step beside him. "How will we ever repay something like this?" His expression was hard and determined. "I don't know, but we will, even if it takes 100 years, even if it costs us everything. They will learn what human gratitude truly means." The new dawn jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying its 12,000 grateful survivors toward their new home. Behind them, the return to their quiet lives as merchants and traders, thinking the incident was over. They had no idea that they had just planted a seed that would change the galaxy forever. 100 years had passed since the rescue of the new dawn. The galaxy had changed, but not in the ways anyone expected. Admiral Jin stood on the observation deck of the massive orbital station above Earth. Behind him stretched a fleet of warships that would have been unimaginable a century ago. Humanity had exploded across the stars like a wildfire, establishing colonies on 63 worlds. Human ships now traveled every major trade route. Human engineers built the fastest engines. Human soldiers had earned a reputation for being absolutely fearless in battle. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity, or at least to fear them a little. But Jin was not thinking about human power today. He was thinking about his grandfather, Captain, who had died 20 years ago. His grandfather's last words had been simple: "Don't forget the... never forget." Jin had not forgotten. No human had. "Admiral, the delegation is ready," said a voice behind him. Jin turned to see Bo Sung, the director of human intelligence. The older man carried a sealed case containing gifts for the people. Every year, humanity sent representatives to Prime to say thank you. Every year, the politely accepted and asked for nothing in return. "How are they doing?" Jin asked. Bo Sung shook his head slightly. "About the same. Still a small trading species, still peaceful, still largely ignored by the major powers. They haven't grown like we have." Jin felt a familiar anger rise in his chest. They deserved better. They were good people, but the galaxy did not reward goodness. It rewarded strength. "We'll change that," Jin said quietly. "Eventually." Before they could continue, Doctor rushed onto the observation deck. They looked excited and frightened at the same time. She carried a data tablet covered in ancient alien writing. "Admiral, I need to show you something. It's urgent." Jin took the tablet and studied the symbols. "What am I looking at?" "I found this in ruins on the 4th planet of the system. It's a warning, Admiral. A warning from a civilization that died out 30,000 years ago." Pulled up an image of a vast mechanical swarm. They called it the Sovereign Swarm, an ancient machine intelligence that consumed entire star systems. Bo Sung leaned in to look. Machine intelligence, like artificial intelligence. More than that, it's a self-replicating system. It turns everything it touches into more of itself. Ships, planets, even stars. The ancient civilization wrote that they barely managed to put it to sleep before they died out. Jin felt a chill run down his spine. "And you think it's waking up?" "I don't know, but the ruins were covered in warnings. Do not disturb the core darkness. The swarm sleeps but does not die. Turn back or all will be consumed." "Have you brought this to the Galactic Council?" Jin asked. Looked frustrated. "Yes, they dismissed it as mythology, old superstitions. They said I was wasting their time." Bo Sung pulled out his own data device. There's more, Admiral. My intelligence network has been tracking unusual energy readings near the galactic core, high-level quantum fluctuations. Something is definitely stirring out there. Near the core, Jin studied the star map. His blood ran cold. That's close to space. Only about 6 light-years away, Bo Sung confirmed. Jin stood silent for a long moment. The pieces were falling into place in his mind, and he did not like the pattern they formed. If something dangerous was awakening near space, the Galactic Council would not help defend it. They were too small, too insignificant. Double our intelligence operations in that region, Jin ordered. I want to know the moment anything changes, and keep researching the swarm. Find out everything you can about how to stop it. You really think this is real? Asked. I think we can't afford to assume it's not. 3 hours later, Jin stood in the diplomatic shuttle approaching Prime. Through the viewport, he could see the peaceful blue-green planet. Ships moved lazily through orbit, carrying goods and families. Everything looked calm and safe. But Jin knew how quickly that could change. The shuttle landed at the central spaceport, and Jin walked out to meet Elder Al. The ambassador was ancient now, his chitinous body marked with the scars of a long life. But his eyes were still bright with intelligence and kindness. Admiral Jin, Al said warmly, welcome once again. You honor us with your yearly visit. Jin bowed low in the style. Elder Al, the honor is ours. My grandfather spoke of you often before he died. He wanted me to tell you that his gratitude never faded. Captain was a good man. I was sad to hear of his passing. Al gestured toward the gardens where the formal ceremony would take place. Come, let us remember the old days together. They walked through beautiful gardens filled with plants from 100 worlds. Children played nearby, their wings catching the sunlight. Everything was so peaceful here, so innocent. During the ceremony, Jin presented gifts from humanity, advanced medical technology, rare metals, and art from Earth. As always, they accepted graciously but offered nothing in return. They still did not understand that humans did not want payment. They wanted the chance to give back. After the ceremony, Jin found himself alone with Al. Elder, Jin said carefully, if your people ever face danger, any danger at all, you must contact us immediately. We owe you everything. Al made that gentle clicking sound that meant he was amused. Admiral, that was 100 years ago. You owe us nothing. Your grandfather's gratitude was payment enough. With respect, Elder, you don't understand human culture yet. We remember our debts, all of them, forever. You humans are strange, Al said fondly, but I appreciate your friendship. As Jin's shuttle lifted off from Prime, he looked down at the peaceful world below. Bo Sung sat beside him, reviewing intelligence reports. The energy readings are getting stronger, Bo Sung said quietly. Whatever's out there, it's definitely waking up. Jin's jaw tightened. Then we need to be ready. Alert the fleet commanders. Tell them we may need to move quickly. Move where? Jin looked at his reflection in the shuttle window. Behind him, Prime was shrinking into the distance. Wherever they need us to be, we owe them a debt, Bo Sung. And it's time the galaxy learned that humanity always pays its debts in full. In the darkness of the galactic core, ancient machines were beginning to stir. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was chaos. Representatives from 40 species shouted at each other, while holographic displays showed the spreading destruction. Admiral Jin stood in the human delegation area, watching with growing disgust. The sovereign swarm was awake. 6 months ago, Bo Sung's intelligence network had detected the first movements. Ancient machines, dormant for thousands of years, had begun to stir in the galactic core. At first, they were just probes, small scout units exploring nearby systems. Then came the builders, machines that could convert asteroids and dead planets into more of themselves. Now, the full swarm was emerging. a wave of self-replicating machines that consumed everything in their path. They had already destroyed 3 uninhabited systems, turning entire solar systems into more swarm units. And their expansion vector pointed directly at space. Commander Han stood beside Jin, her face grim as she watched the council argue. "They're not going to help, are they?" "No," Jin said quietly, "they're not." On the central platform, a representative from the Dominion was speaking. "We must think strategically. The territory is small and insignificant. If we allow the swarm to consume that region, it will buy us time to fortify our own borders." Other voices rose in agreement. The cold mathematics of galactic politics were simple: sacrifice the weak to save the strong. A commander added, "They have no military, no defenses worth mentioning. Trying to protect them would be a waste of resources. We should focus on defending systems that actually matter." Jin felt his hands clench into fists. Beside him, Han whispered, "Admiral, if you speak now, you'll make enemies of half the council." "I already have enemies," Jin said. He stepped forward, activating his delegation's speaking rights. The chamber fell silent as the human admiral approached the central platform. Jin's voice was calm, but carried clearly to every corner of the vast room. "The Galactic Council suggests we abandon them to their fate. I want to make sure I understand this correctly. You propose to sacrifice an entire species because defending them would be inconvenient." The representative bristled. "We propose to make rational decisions based on strategic value. They offer nothing that would justify the cost of defending them." "Nothing?" Jin's voice grew colder. 100 years ago, when 12,000 humans were dying in deep space, they came to save us. They diverted their entire merchant fleet. They shared their food, their medicine, their resources. They expected nothing in return. They did it because it was the right thing to do. That is irrelevant to current circumstances," they said dismissively. "No," Jin said sharply. "It is the only thing that's relevant. You ask what they offer. They offer something this council has clearly forgotten: basic decency, basic kindness. They showed humanity what it means to help others simply because they need help." A commander laughed. "And you think gratitude is worth spending your fleet, worth risking your people? Humans have become a powerful species. Don't throw that away on sentiment." Jin stared at the commander for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was quiet but intense. "You're right. Humanity has become powerful, and now you're about to learn why that happened. It's not because we have the best technology. It's not because we're the strongest warriors. It's because we remember. We remember every kindness. We remember every debt. And we repay them no matter the cost." He turned to address the entire council. "Humanity will deploy its fleet to defend space. We will do this with or without council support. And when this is over, every species in this chamber will remember that humans keep their promises." The chamber erupted in shocked voices as Jin walked out. 2 hours later, Jin stood in the Situation Room on Earth, surrounded by holographic displays showing military deployments. President Young had arrived from the Capitol building. The leader of humanity looked tired but determined. "The council thinks we're insane," President said. "Economic advisors are predicting this will bankrupt our military budget for the next decade." "They're probably right," Jin admitted. "We'll be leaving our own borders nearly defenseless." "Yes." President studied the deployment plans in silence. Then she looked up at Jin. "Your grandfather would be proud. How long until the fleet is ready?" 18 hours. We're recalling every ship, every soldier. This will be the largest human military operation in history." "And they have you told them?" Jin shook his head. "Elder Al sent us a message yesterday. He asked us not to come. He said they don't want humanity to sacrifice itself for them. He said we should save ourselves." President smiled sadly. "They still don't understand us, do they?" "No, but they will." Across human space, the mobilization order went out. Every warship, from massive carriers to small patrol craft, received the same command: report to space immediately. Soldiers said goodbye to their families. Engineers worked around the clock to prepare ships for battle. Supply vessels loaded ammunition and provisions. In homes and schools across 63 human worlds, people watched the news broadcasts. They saw images of Elder Al and heard the story of the new dawn. Parents told their children about the debt that humanity owed. And everywhere the same message spread: they saved us when we were nothing. Now we save them no matter what it costs. On the bridge of his flagship Remembrance, Admiral Jin prepared to address the assembled fleet. Thousands of ships hung in space around him, the largest military force humanity had ever assembled. Every captain could see Jin's face on their command screens. 100 years ago, Jin began, they saved 12,000 human lives. They did not ask what they would receive in return. They did not calculate strategic value. They simply helped because it was the right thing to do. Today, we repay that debt. He paused, looking out at the sea of ships. The galaxy thinks we're foolish. They think we're throwing away our power for sentiment. Let them think that. Because when this is over, they will understand what makes humanity different. We do not abandon our friends. We do not forget our debts. We stand by those who stood by us. Another pause. The sovereign swarm is coming. It will not be an easy battle. Some of us will not return. But we go anyway because that is what honor demands. Because that is what being human means. Jin's voice rose. All ships prepare for jump. Destination, space. Today we show the galaxy what human gratitude looks like. Today we remind them that humanity never forgets. Today we make our grandparents proud. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed as one, leaving human space nearly defenseless behind them. On Prime, Elder Al stood in his gardens and watched the stars. Tears ran down his alien face. His people's sensors had detected the massive human fleet approaching. Hundreds of ships, thousands of soldiers, all coming to protect the. They came, Al whispered. They actually came. A younger approached. Elder, the swarm's advance forces will arrive in 6 hours. The humans won't be here in time. Al straightened his old body. Then we will hold as long as we can. The humans are coming, that is enough. Above them, space began to ripple as reality tore open. The sovereign swarm was arriving. The sovereign swarm emerged from the darkness like a plague of metal locusts. Thousands of machines, each one hungry to convert matter into more of itself. They moved with terrible purpose toward the first colony world. Admiral Jin watched from the bridge of the Remembrance as his fleet dropped out of faster-than-light speed. They had made it, but barely. The swarm's advance units were already engaging the small defense platforms. The defense platforms were dying. All ships battle formation Delta, Jin ordered. Position yourselves between the swarm and the colonies. Nothing gets through. Commander Han coordinated ground forces. Admiral, I'm deploying evacuation teams to the 3 closest colony worlds. If we're going to hold them, we need to get civilians out first. Approved, take whatever ships you need. The battle began in earnest. Human warships opened fire, their weapons blazing against the swarm machines. Each swarm unit destroyed itself, quickly rebuilt, using nearby debris to create more of itself. For every machine destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. They're adapting to our weapons, reported the tactical officer. Each generation is slightly more resistant than the last. Jin gritted his teeth. Then we switched tactics, all ships ramming formation. Use the ships themselves as weapons if necessary. Across the fleet, captains received the order with grim determination. The heavy cruiser Soul's Pride was the first to comply. Its captain aimed his damaged ship directly at a swarm hive node and pushed the engines to maximum. The explosion destroyed the node and dozens of swarm units around it. Captain Dong of the Soul's Pride is gone, sir. the communications officer said quietly. Jin closed his eyes briefly. Then he opened them again, his expression hard. Mark his sacrifice in the record. Continue the assault. On the surface of Colony World Delta 3, Commander Han ran through the streets, helping civilians board evacuation shuttles. They moved slowly, their bodies not built for panic. Parents carried their young, looking up at the sky where human ships were dying to protect them. "Commander, we have a problem," said one of her soldiers. "There's a medical facility in the Eastern District. 300 patients who can't be moved easily." Han did not hesitate. "Take 2 squads, get them out. Use emergency transport pods if you have to. No one gets left behind. That area is in the swarm's approach vector. We might not have time." Then we move faster. In orbit, the battle was becoming desperate. Doctor worked frantically in the research vessel Discovery, analyzing swarm patterns and composition. Her team studied every destroyed swarm unit, looking for weaknesses. "There has to be something," muttered, studying the data. "Every system has a weakness." Her assistant, a young researcher named Min, pointed at an unusual reading. "Doctor, look at this. The swarm units are all synchronized on a quantum level. They share information instantly across vast distances." Felt her heart race. A hive mind. They're all connected to a central consciousness. Or multiple consciousness points, but yes, essentially a network. And networks can be disrupted. Fingers flew across her console, pulling up more data. What if we could create interference, a quantum resonance pattern that disrupts their synchronization? Min looked uncertain. The power requirements would be enormous. We'd need to overload every reactor in the fleet simultaneously. And then the EMP pulse would destroy both the swarm and our ships. We'd all die, Doctor. Sat back, her mind racing. It was a terrible solution, but it was the only solution. In the fighter squadrons, Lieutenant Wu led his wing through a swarm formation. His small craft dodged between giant swarm machines, firing missiles at critical joints and power nodes. Behind him, his squadron followed in tight formation. "Gold Leader, we have a problem," his wingman called. "That hive node is producing units faster than we can destroy them. At this rate, they'll overrun the fleet in 2 hours. Wu looked at the massive hive node, a structure the size of a small moon. It pumped out swarm units like a factory. If they could destroy it, they could slow the swarm's advance significantly. "Gold Squadron on me," Wu ordered. "We're going to take out that node." "Sir, our weapons aren't strong enough to penetrate its core shielding." Wu checked his fuel and ammunition. He had just enough for one more run. "Then we don't use weapons, we use ourselves. Set your reactors to overload and follow my lead." His squadron of 12 fighters turned as one, accelerating toward the hive node. Behind them, other fighters provided covering fire, giving them a clear path. "It's been an honor, Gold Leader," said his wingman. "The honor was mine," Wu replied. The 12 fighters struck the hive node's core simultaneously. The explosion was visible across the entire battle space, a brilliant flash that temporarily blinded sensors. When the light faded, the hive node was gone, along with Gold Squadron. On a planet's surface, Myra worked with a team of engineers to maintain the planetary shields. The shields were all that stood between the civilians and the swarm, but they were failing, drawing power faster than the generators could supply. "We need to reroute power from everything else," Myra ordered. "Life support, communications, everything. The shields are all that matters." A young engineer looked worried. "If we do that and the shields fail anyway, everyone inside the facilities will suffocate. If the shields fail, the swarm will kill them first. Do it." Doctor reached Admiral Jin on an emergency channel. "Admiral, I found a way to stop the swarm, but you're not going to like it." Jin listened as she explained the quantum resonance plan. His expression never changed. even as she described how every human ship would be destroyed in the process. "How certain are you that this will work?" he asked. 70%, maybe 80. "And if we don't do it? The swarm will eventually overrun us. We might buy the few more weeks, but we'll lose anyway. This is the only way to guarantee they survive." Jin looked around his bridge. Every officer had heard the conversation. Every one of them met his eyes without flinching. They knew what he was about to order. "All ships," Jin announced on the fleet-wide channel. "This is Admiral Jin. We have discovered a way to defeat the swarm, but it requires us to overload all our reactors simultaneously. This will destroy the swarm. It will also destroy us. Every ship, every crew member. There will be no survivors." He paused, letting the words sink in. "I won't order you to do this. Each captain must make their own choice. If you want to withdraw, do so now. No one will judge you." For several seconds, there was silence across the fleet communication channels. Then, one by one, the captains responded. "Dragon's Fire standing by. New Horizon ready to proceed. Terra's Fist awaits your command." Every ship responded, every single one, not a single captain. Jin felt proud tears in his eyes. "All ships prepare for Protocol Omega. Set reactors to overload on my mark. Broadcast our action to the Galactic Council. Let them see what we're doing. Let them remember." Elder Al's voice came over the communication channel, desperate and breaking. "Admiral Jin, please stop. This is too much. We cannot accept this sacrifice. We do not ask this of you." Jin smiled sadly. "Elder Al, you didn't ask the first time either. We saved you anyway. That's what being human means. We repay our debts in full. It's been an honor knowing your people." "No, please." "All ships," Jin said calmly, "execute Protocol Omega for Earth, for honor." Across the human fleet, reactor cores began to overload. The quantum resonance built, a frequency that only the swarm could hear. The swarm machines began to shake, their connections severing, their coordination failing. Jin looked at his crew one last time. "It's been my privilege to serve with you." Then the light came, brighter than 1,000 suns. The quantum pulse spread outward like a wave, invisible but devastating. Across the battle space, the sovereign swarm units froze mid-movement. Their quantum synchronization shattered. Without their hive connection, they were just metal and circuits, unable to coordinate, unable to adapt, unable to grow. One by one, they went dark and drifted through space as dead metal. The human fleet died with them. Ships broke apart as their overloaded reactors consumed them from within. 8,000 vessels turned to debris. Nearly 200,000 human soldiers and crew members gone in a flash of light. But not all of them. In the command ship remembrance, Admiral Jin opened his eyes. He was alive. His bridge crew was alive. Emergency lights flickered weakly, but they were working. The ship was heavily damaged, barely holding together but intact. "Status report," Jin said weakly, his voice hoarse. His tactical officer looked at his console in disbelief. "Sir, the quantum pulse worked. The swarm is completely disabled, dead in space." "And our fleet?" The officer's voice dropped. 83% casualties, Admiral. 1,600 ships survived, all heavily damaged. The rest are gone." Jin closed his eyes. 1,600 ships out of 8,000. So many good people dead, but they had succeeded. They were safe. "What about the colonies, the civilians?" "All evacuated successfully, sir. Commander Han's teams got everyone out. No civilian casualties reported." At least there was that. Every life saved, just as they had saved every human life 100 years ago. On Prime, Elder Al stood in the command center, surrounded by his people. They were all staring at the screens showing the aftermath of the battle. Tears ran freely down faces as they saw the destroyed human ships. "So many," Al whispered, "so many dead for us." A younger aide spoke up. "Elder, we're receiving distress signals from the surviving human ships. They need medical assistance and rescue operations." Al straightened up, his old body finding new strength. "Then we give them everything we have. Every ship, every medical team, every resource. The humans saved us. Now we save them." The rescue operations began immediately. Merchant ships, the same kind that had saved the New Dawn a century ago, rushed into the debris field. They pulled human survivors from damaged vessels. They brought medical supplies and rescue equipment. This time, it was the who shared everything they had. Commander Han pulled Admiral Jin from the wreckage of the Remembrance. The Admiral was injured but alive. She helped him into a rescue ship where medical teams were waiting. "You did it, sir," Han said. "We won, they are safe." Jin managed a weak smile. "How many did we save?" "Every single one, Admiral. Every civilian made it out. Not one was left behind." "Good, that's good." Across the galaxy, the recordings of the battle spread like wildfire. Every species watched in stunned silence as humans sacrificed their entire fleet to save the Galactic Council chamber was silent for the first time in decades as the representatives watched the final moments of the human ships. President Young addressed the Galactic Council 3 days later. She stood in the same chamber where Admiral Jin had spoken before the battle. But now, every representative gave her their full attention. "Humanity lost 164,000 military personnel in the Battle of Prime," President said, her voice steady despite her grief. "We lost 83% of our fleet. Our military capacity is devastated. Our economy is in crisis. It will take us decades to recover." She paused, looking at each representative. "And we would do it again, without hesitation, without regret. Because 100 years ago they saved us when we had nothing to give in return. We repaid that debt. The account is now settled." A representative stood up slowly. "President Young, the Dominion wishes to offer military protection for human space while you rebuild your fleet. We also offer economic assistance with no strings attached." Another representative stood. "The clans offer the same. We were wrong to dismiss your actions as foolish. You have shown us what true honor looks like." One by one, species after species stood to offer help. Even those who had laughed at humanity's sacrifice before now understood what they had witnessed. Humanity had not just won a battle. They had demonstrated a principle that the galaxy had forgotten. Some debts are worth any price to repay. On Prime, a ceremony was held in the Great Gardens where Admiral Jin had visited Elder Al. But now the gardens were filled with both and human mourners. Memorial stones had been erected for every human who had died in the battle. Elder Al stood beside the recovered Admiral Jin. The Admiral walked with a cane now, his body still healing from injuries. Around them, and human children played together, not yet understanding the significance of what had happened. "I still do not understand," Al said quietly. "How could you sacrifice so much for us? We are just one small species." Jin looked at the children playing. "My grandfather told me something before he died. He said that the measure of a civilization is not in how powerful it becomes, but in what it's willing to sacrifice for others. They taught us that lesson 100 years ago. But the cost was worth it. Every life we lost bought something precious. We proved that honor still matters, that gratitude means something, that the galaxy doesn't have to operate on cold mathematics and self-interest." Jin turned to face the elder. "You gave us more than survival, Elder Al. You gave us an example to live up to. We just followed where you led." Al was silent for a long moment. Then he placed one of his many hands on Jin's shoulder. "We'll never forget this. We will teach our children about human sacrifice. We will honor your dead for 1,000 generations." Jin smiled. "Just remember the lesson. Help others when they need it. Don't calculate the cost. Don't ask what you'll receive in return. Just help because it's the right thing to do. That's what you taught us. That's what we want you to teach the galaxy." 5 years later, the galaxy was a different place. The Galactic Council had reformed completely. The new charter included a mutual defense clause specifically inspired by human actions. No species would be abandoned again, regardless of their size or strategic value. Humanity and the HAD formed an alliance that other species quickly joined. It was not built on military might or economic advantage. It was built on mutual respect and demonstrated character. Within a decade, it became the most influential alliance in the galaxy. Sora, a young human historian, stood in the archives on Earth, recording the final interviews with survivors of the Battle of Prime. She had spent 3 years documenting every story, every sacrifice, every act of heroism. "Why did you do it?" she asked one old veteran. "You knew you would die, why go anyway?" The veteran smiled. "Because it was right, because they saved us first, because that's what being human means." Sora heard that answer, in various forms, from every survivor she interviewed. They had not gone to war for profit or power or conquest. They had gone because they owed a debt. In the great monument garden on Prime, a new structure had been erected. It was a simple arch made of human steel and crystal, inscribed with words in both languages. "They saved us first, we will always remember." Beneath it, human and names were listed side by side. The 12,000 humans saved by a century ago, and the 164,000 humans who had died saving them in return. Elder Al visited the monument every day until his death at the age of 143. On his final visit, he brought his great, young who had never known a galaxy without human friendship. "Remember this," Al told them, his ancient voice soft. "We saved them when they were weak because it was right. They saved us at terrible cost because they remembered. This is what civilization truly means. Not technology, not power, but the willingness to help others and the honor to repay kindness." When news of Al's death reached Earth, President Young declared a day of mourning across all human worlds. Billions of humans paused to remember the alien ambassador who had shown humanity the meaning of compassion. In the years that followed, the story of humanity became legendary across the galaxy. It was taught in schools on 100 worlds. Diplomats referenced it in treaties. Military academies studied the Battle of Prime not for its tactics, but for what it represented. And whenever a species asked why humanity was willing to help them, the answer was always the same. Because they taught us that kindness matters. They taught us that some debts are worth any price. They taught us what it means to be good people. We're just paying that lesson forward. The galaxy had learned something important. Humanity never forgot a debt. But more importantly, they never forgot a lesson. And the lesson that taught them echoed across the stars for generations to come.